Right, so in today's video, I just wanted to give you an update as to how the French drain is getting on since it was installed earlier this spring. Now, I've had a lot of comments over the past few months and over the past few weeks, just asking sort of how the French drain has held up about 7 to 8 months later, and whether it's doing the job. And I've had people asking as well about the actual pipe itself that I installed and why I've gone for sort of like stone over the top, why I put fabric around the pipe, all those sorts of things. So I thought I'd post this video today to answer a few of those questions, because what I've noticed is the video that I posted on the French drain all those months ago has been getting quite a lot of views recently. And I think the main reason behind that is because we've had so much rain at the moment, and obviously gardens are getting flooded, might be a little bit waterlogged, and people are looking for solutions as to how to actually drain that water away from patios and from lawns and things. So hopefully today answers a few of those questions, and it'll give you an idea of how, you know, the French drain has actually worked over all of those months. So the first thing you can see is, you can tell here the soil is quite soggy on this side, and the main reason for that is that this side of the lawn isn't really getting a lot of sun at the moment, so it's not being able to sort of evaporate that water away. But you can see the actual patio itself isn't flooded whatsoever. Now, before I installed the French drain, this part of the garden used to always flood really bad, and I mean, it'd rain for maybe about 10-15 minutes and you'd have almost like a centimetre's worth of water sitting on these flags. And the big problem with that was that the water was sitting and then it wasn't going anywhere, and then eventually the tiles were going manky underneath. You'd jet wash it, but then as you jet wash, all the water would run away from the house and it would just sit. So all that dirt you just blasted off the patio slabs is sitting in the water, and when the water obviously evaporates or, you know, soaks away slowly sort of down beyond where the patio was, all that dirt was just settling back onto those slabs, which meant that the flags over this side of the garden were okay, whereas the flags over here were staying in like a bit of a nasty condition. Now you can see it's hardly, you know, the cleanest patio of the year, but it's not had a jet wash in around about 2 months, and you can see some of the flags started to get some, you know, discolouring to them just because all the dirt has settled on them. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to get on with the jet wash, and you're going to see how all the water is going to run away towards where the stones are, and it's going to drain through. Now, if you are going to clean your patio, I suggest getting something like this, just a patio cleaner. It's got a head which has 2 rotating jets, and that way you can, you know, better clean the patio surface. It takes about a quarter of the time, as opposed to using like the one detachment thing where it just blasts it and takes ages. Any jet wash will do the job when you're cleaning your patio, but this one I picked up from Costco, but you can get it from other places too, like Amazon and probably other garden centres and things. Pretty decent. It's expensive. I can't remember the exact price now, but I think it was north of about £200, so, you know, not exactly a cheap jet wash, but it is pretty decent and really does the job. I've had some people comment on my actual, you know, first impressions video of this jet wash to say, you know, they had some issues with it, but I've not had any of the issues those people have had, and I've used this quite a lot. But I guess everyone's experience is going to be slightly different. There we go. Lovely jubbly, ready to go. Once you've been on with the patio cleaning attachment, there's this one which you can, you know, use to blast away any of the water that's slowly sort of seeping into the drainage pipe. And there we go, just like that, you can see the difference between the space that I'm standing on now and actually the space over here, and all the water already has drained completely out through down into the perforated drainage pipe. So yeah, so far so good. Apologies if you can see any of the bag in the shot at the moment. I've had to put a bag for life over the phone and the mic receiver thing, just so it doesn't explode or get wet. Right, let's get back to it. Get back to jet washing. So there we go. The patio has been jet washed, and you can see it's looking much better, and there's no water that's actually sitting on the flags. I mean, they look wet now, but it's because it's been raining, and that centimetre of water that used to sit on the flags is completely gone. So one question I'm always getting asked is, how does the actual water flow down into the pipe? Now the way it works is the pipe's perforated, so the water goes down through the stones into the pipe, and then it flows down into the drain over there. I've had people ask, if the pipe is perforated all the way around, how does the water flow through the pipe? And you can't really think of the pipe as a pipe. You've got to think of it as a void, like a big space that's between these stones. The bigger the space, the better the drainage is going to be. So realistically, you could do this project without using the pipe and just using stones, and the bigger the stones, the better, because then they're going to leave bigger voids between them, which means the drainage is going to be much better because more water can fit into that space. But by putting a pipe into the place where your French drain is, it creates quite a big void, which means it can hold a lot of water, and a lot of water can flow down towards the drain over there. But I mean, you can see it's raining now. We've just jet washed the patio, and all the way along there's no deep water sitting on the flags. It's just wet from obviously where the rain is. If it was the middle of summer now, these flags would already be drying. And you can see there's a colour difference between these two flags. That's just because this was the original patio that was in when we first bought the house. Then we had the housing developers come in to extend it, telling us the flags were the same colour, but you can see it wasn't the case. But I have got plans to redo this entire space with nicer flags, hopefully next year, if all goes to plan. So with regard to the actual pipe, I'm really happy with how it's turned out, because it has done the job. The main aim was to stop the patio flooding, and it absolutely does that. But it doesn't mean that the project wasn't without sort of its flaws. Now, something I would do next time is I wouldn't use this stone, which is the Cotswold stone, and the reason being is because it's quite a light stone. It gets a lot of green on it quite easy, and that's because a lot of moisture's getting onto the stones. When I'm cleaning the patio, all the dirt's going off into this space here, and it's just resulting in the stones getting really dirty. I'd probably go with a dark stone or a slightly different colour, just nothing too light, because it seems to show the dirt quite a lot, and the stones are pretty difficult to clean, because if you try and jet wash them, it just ends up spraying the stones everywhere, and then you just end up with stuff all over the place, and it doesn't look really nice at all. But what I am planning to do is I'm planning to actually remove these stones next year, just the actual top layer of them, and replace them with slate instead, something like that anyway, just so it doesn't show the dirt as much as what these ones do, because you can see over here, even these look absolutely awful. You just see how green they are. It's just minging. So just taking off this top layer, I'm not going to take all the stones out, just this very top layer, and replace it with something else. A few people have mentioned in the comments as well about the actual fabric that I put around the pipe. Now, the reason that I put the fabric around the pipe was to avoid a lot of dirt getting into it, because the idea was that if any dirt's blasted off onto the stones down here, it's going to obviously move through, and when it hits the fabric's going to prevent it, mostly anyway, getting down into the pipe itself. Because once clay and dirt is getting into that pipe, then all it means is going to happen is that it's going to end up blocking the pipe. It won't be as effective as it would be with having the fabric around it. Because you've always got to visualise it as, you've got the pipe, which is one big void, and around that pipe you've got stones to create smaller voids, and then you've got that fabric around it too. And then around that fabric, you've got even more stones. So there's a lot of drainage there, there's a lot of voids, and there's a really small likelihood that dirt and clay and things are going to actually get into that perforated pipe. So if you are thinking of doing a project like this over the next few weeks or the next few months, it's definitely a great time to be doing it, because the soil is quite moist, which means it's going to be really easy to dig through, particularly if you've got clay soil. My lawn is quite, clay heavy, so doing this when the temperatures are the way they are and with the rain we've got at the moment, you're just going to be able to scoop that clay out like it's butter. So it's going to be really easy to actually make that space ready for your pipe or ready for your stones. The pipe isn't essential, you don't have to use it, you can just go with stones. Like I've said, it's all about the voids. The pipe creates a big void, which is great, but you don't actually have to have that pipe there, so you can make it more cost effective by not using the pipe. However, it might not be as cost effective if you take into account the amount of sort of stones and things you're going to have to buy to actually fill the space that the pipe would be holding. But if you do want to go with the pipe, I picked mine up from B&Q. I can't remember the price now. I think it was around about £40-ish. And I used the pipe for 2 French drains. I used it for one that spans the actual length of the retaining wall at the front, and obviously the front of the garden too. And we still have more left over in the garage. So just from getting that one pipe, it's you know, covered quite a lot of space. But if you've got a massive garden, you might need to end up with 2 pipes. That's just the way of the world, unfortunately. So I hope that has answered a few questions that people have had over the past few weeks. What I'm going to be doing over the next few months, I'm going to be continuing with my lawn care videos, and I've got a lot of projects in the works at the moment, thinking towards sort of the winter and into next year, and things we can do to this garden to continue the renovation. Because what I've noticed on this channel over the past few weeks, few months, is that my most popular videos have been the garden renovation videos. What I can't do is renovate the garden every single month or every single week, because there's only so many projects you can do with a garden of this size. However, it doesn't mean we've not got any projects in the works. We've still got this space. This space has been here now for about 2 years, and I promise it is something that I am going to be tackling within the next 6 months or so. So we've got this space we're going to be doing something with. We want to do something with the back. People always comment about the back wall and how the white marks don't look horrendous, and I agree, they do. I'm blind to them now because I've lived here for quite a few years, but it is something that I want to sort out. And also along this side as well, and even these flower beds, doing stuff with them. So if you'd like to stick around and see any of this garden renovation, or any videos such as how to install French drains, how to build retaining walls, how to lay a patio without any prior experience to doing it, if you want to see someone who's a complete novice giving it a go, with basic tools and doing it from scratch, then check out the rest of my videos. If you enjoy them or you like them, feel free to subscribe. And like I said before, I'm going to be keeping up to date with all different lawn care videos too, just from a normal fella who does lawn care. I'm not an expert, I'm not a landscaper by trade. I'm just a normal person who's renovating his garden in quite an easy, cost-effective way. And there we go, just like that, we already have a few dirty footprints from the dog to mucky up this patio again. Right, so just out for a walk with the dog. It's been about 5 hours now since I actually recorded the footage for this video. I just want to show you the patio. So there we go, it's been raining for most of today, and there's not any water sitting on the patio itself. So French drain, I think, job's a good one.